You say in full transparency you didn't know that this was in there, and now you're shining a light on it. How did you not know that it was in there, and how'd you find out about it?
We don't get the full bill text until very close to the time to vote for it. And so that was one section, that was 2 pages that I didn't see. And I'm being very transparent and honest about it with everyone, but I find it so problematic that I'm willing to come forward and admit that those are 2 pages that I didn't read, because I never want to see a situation where state rights are stripped away. And that's exactly what it says in that bill text, that it would take away states' rights to regulate or make laws against AI for 10 years. And I think that's pretty terrifying. We don't know what AI is going to be capable of within 1 year. We don't know what it will be capable of in 5 years, let alone 10 years. And I think we have to protect states' rights to be able to regulate and make laws that they need to make for their states.
MAGA is currently imploding as Donald Trump is being hit from all sides within his own party. Not only is Elon Musk launching a full-scale attack against Donald Trump, Rand Paul as well over his budget, but now Donald Trump is dealing with Republicans calling out his attack on Los Angeles and his biggest supporter in Marjorie Taylor Greene going to war with his agenda as well, live on Fox. We're going to get into it all. Before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button. It goes a long way, and it really does mean a lot to me. Now, before we can get into Marjorie Taylor Greene's appearance on Fox that had to be cut short because of what she said about Trump, we have to start with the context. Donald Trump's agenda, which was called out by Bernie Sanders right here.
Senator, you mentioned on a very different topic whether Republicans would stand up to the president. There definitely is some clashing politically, internally among Republicans on the president's legislative agenda, specifically the giant spending and tax bill before the United States Senate. In order to try to fix some of those internal GOP differences, Senate Republicans are eyeing changes to Medicare. We know there are also $700 billion worth of cuts in the existing bill to Medicaid. Is there anything that you and Democrats can do to stop it, since you just don't have the votes?
Well, let's be clear, Dana. What these guys want to do is, according to the CBO, throw 15 million Americans off the health care they now have, on top of the 85 million Americans who are currently uninsured or underinsured, and on top of the fact that we are the only major country on earth not to guarantee health care to all people. As you may have seen, there was a report, a study done by Yale University and the University of Pennsylvania. They said 50,000 people a year are going to die because of their lack of health care. This impacts not only individuals, it impacts nursing homes, hospitals, it'll impact community health centers. And you know why they are doing this? They are doing this so they can give $600 billion in tax breaks to the top 1%, $400 billion in tax breaks to large profitable corporations. This bill is an outrage. And the American people have got to stand up and fight back. You're asking what we are doing. We are mobilizing people throughout this country, especially in marginal districts that have Republican members of Congress, and demand that people ask their members of Congress, do you support tax breaks for billionaires and throwing kids and elderly people off of the health care that they have?
So you were talking mostly about Medicaid, which is already in this bill, those cuts that you...
It is obvious to anyone who has read this bill, and that is important context for Marjorie Taylor Greene, that it is a complete disgrace. This will be, according to Republican Senator Ron Johnson, a budget that would destroy our country for generations if it were to be passed. Ron Johnson, the insurrection guy, the false slate of electors guy, is speaking out against Donald Trump's budget. It's that bad. And like I said, anyone who read it would know that. But unfortunately, Marjorie Taylor Greene didn't do that on the first go, and it's part of why she appeared on Fox today. But first, we got to take a look at her admitting just how stupid she is.
Congresswoman, you say in full transparency you didn't know that this was in there, and now you're shining a light on it. How did you not know that it was in there, and how'd you find out about it?
Well, we don't get the full bill text until very close to the time to vote for it. And so that was one section, that was 2 pages that I didn't see. And I'm being very transparent and honest about it with everyone.
I don't really believe that it was just those 2 pages that you missed when you were skimming through the bill. And it's so funny that Marjorie Taylor Greene's excuse for not reading the just supposed 2 pages, she didn't read the whole thing, was that the bill did not get to her with enough time. Whose fault is that? Oh, it might be the people who are in power, the most dysfunctional Congress we have ever seen. I cannot believe that the last Congress is not the most dysfunctional. It is this one with Republicans controlling the House, the Senate, and the presidency. It is a complete mess. This budget is an absolute disaster, and that is what Marjorie Taylor Greene had to say on Fox. Her call out of Donald Trump's provision in this budget about AI was so she was so upset about it that her Fox segment got cut a little short. Just take a look.
To thread the needle, you know you're going to have changes from the Senate. I mean, are you willing to take this to the mat and blow up President Trump's agenda over it?
I will never blow up President Trump's agenda because I campaigned more than any other member of Congress for years by his side all over this country. I defended President Trump when a lot of my colleagues walked away and turned their back on him. So I'm for President Trump's agenda. However, President Trump never campaigned on destroying state rights. He never campaigned saying he wanted to be like China, which would tie his citizens in states' hands. And I'm standing up for people, Maria, and this is a very popular...
This is a very important point that you bring. There's no doubt about it.
That is a big... However, from Marjorie Taylor Greene, in a time where Donald Trump could really use all the support that he can get from his biggest allies, from his most insane cultist. But Marjorie Taylor Greene's appeal to state rights just rings so hollow right now. Especially as Donald Trump is attacking the rights of citizens of California, is Gavin Newsom, of course, did not request the National Guard to show up. The LAPD has stated that the protests that are happening against Donald Trump's invasion of Los Angeles are incredibly peaceful. Yet, Donald Trump just wants to make a spectacle. So, if Marjorie Taylor Greene really cared, which of course we know she doesn't, she's also probably not able to read that statement from the LAPD because of, but if she actually cared about states' rights, she'd be challenging Donald Trump on this disgusting attack on folks in Los Angeles. But of course, Marjorie Taylor Greene's not going to do that. But I am surprised she's speaking out against this AI provision. But I guess every Republican has something that they don't like about this budget. We also saw Rand Paul on Fox today calling out Donald Trump. He really loves doing that at this point. I want to take a look right here before we get into the rest of what Bernie Sanders had to say about the bill.
Most people estimate that over the next 10 years, the United States will add about $2 trillion a year, $20 trillion in debt. The savings, if you don't think the taxes or the tax cuts will cause a reduction in revenue, which I can accept that, and you say, well, the spending cuts are $1.5 trillion. That means instead of borrowing $20 trillion, we'd borrow $18.5 trillion. So the spending cuts are not nearly enough. The other way to look at this is ask year to year, will we spend more money next year than last year? The answer is going to be yes. Will the deficit be over $2 trillion next year? The answer is yes. This is why my big objection to the bill is they want to ask us to expand their credit line to $5 trillion. So if your teenager at 16, you gave them a credit card, and they maxed it out on booze and gambling, and they were $2,000 in debt, and they said, well, Mom, Dad, I want more credit. Would you give them more credit? Congress is like drunken teenagers. They're terrible with money. The example of the explosion of debt is awful and not to be commended. We should be giving them very limited tranches of debt expansion and make them prove to us that they are good with money. But by no means should we give them $5 trillion and say, oh, just keep doing what you're doing. They have a terrible record, so they need more restraint and more oversight, not less.
I think it is important in the midst of the MAGA civil war that we remember We don't agree with Rand Paul or Elon or certainly Marjorie Taylor Greene, even though the points that she's making about the AI provision, they are important. They agree with us. They're not on our side. They're just agreeing with common sense, something that they rarely do. But I don't want to give them too much credit, especially Elon Musk. This is something that I'm very afraid that Democrats are about to jump the gun, get a little too excited about. Oh, Elon, he's on our side now. No, Elon does whatever is convenient for Elon, whatever is going to make Elon the most amount of money. I don't like this idea of bringing him into the fold, taking his dark money. Absolutely not. We cannot say that this guy is trying to buy up our elections, which he did and admitted to, by the way, giving people $1 million checks illegally, and then the next week go, well, if the paper is green, we'll take it. No, we don't need Elon's money. We need a compelling message and to mobilize people and get him out to vote. No, we don't need his dark money. We don't need his support. If he wants to sound off against Trump, sure, go ahead. But no, we cannot do that. We cannot allow Elon to be somehow now a member of the Democratic Party. And Bernie Sanders addressed that right here.
Senator, I want to ask you about a situation, a drama that really sort of engulfed everyone and everything here in Washington, which is the breakup between Donald Trump and Elon Musk this week. Some Democrats are trying to recruit Musk to their side, to your side. Semaphore reported that Congressman Ro Khanna spoke with one of Elon Musk's senior confidants about whether Musk might want to help Democrats in the midterms. Do you see Elon Musk as someone who Democrats should work with?
No, I think Musk has evolved over the years. My understanding is he actually voted for Obama, I think, in 2008. But over the years, he has developed into a right-wing extremist. The issue, and I think the drama, the story of what happened last week is you are living increasingly in an oligarchic society. And Musk said to Trump, hey, listen, I spent $270 million to get you elected. I bought you the presidency because we have a corrupt campaign finance system and billionaires can do that. And Trump said, well, I gave you the right to run the government for 3 or 4 months, but I don't like the guy you want to run NASA, and we're going to get rid of him. And Musk got upset. This is a fight between oligarchs. It's a fight about power among the few, and it's really an embarrassment to those of us who believe in democracy and the rule of law.
Well, I was going to ask you if Musk is right when he said the only reason Donald Trump won in November is because he donated $270 million to his campaign. But I know the answer. Your answer is yes.
Well, you got a corrupt campaign finance system. But by the way, it's not just Republicans. Democratic billionaires do that as well. And that's why we need to get rid of this disastrous Citizens United Supreme Court decision, move to public funding of elections so that billionaires do not buy our democracy.
We do not need Elon. We don't. Plain and simple. I think it is a bad idea. I think it represents poor political instincts to think that we need to get him on our side again. If he wants to attack Trump, if he wants to attack Charlie Kirk, if he wants to attack Stephen Miller, take his wife, go for it. I don't care. I'm not going to get in your way. I could tell you that much, but we don't need to engage with it. He is not on our side. He is serving himself. He threw up a sig pile. I do not want this guy. He can stay in his own little corner. We'll do the work ourselves. We're certainly going to be on this show. And if you want to support that, as always, you can hit that subscribe button, leave a like on this video, and if you stuck around to the end, drop a blue heart in the comments. And until next time, I'll see you soon.